Have you ever felt it? That silent, almost electric hum in a room when a certain kind of man walks in. He doesn't announce his arrival, yet the entire social dynamic shifts, bending towards his quiet center of gravity. This isn't about the brash noise of an alpha, it's the unnerving, profound presence of a man who operates on a completely different frequency. A man who commands respect not by demanding it, but by being so utterly self-contained that the world has no choice but to take notice. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Sigma male community. Here we don't chase the spotlight. We understand the immense power that resides in the shadows, in the quiet confidence of a man who is his own sovereign nation. We are the architects of our own reality, guided by an internal compass that others find both baffling and terrifyingly admirable. Today we delve into the deep undercurrents of the Sigma presence, exploring the unsettling things these men do without ever realizing the seismic impact they have on everyone around them. 1. The unsettling gravity of silence. Forget the man who needs to shout to be heard. The Sigma's power is broadcasted through a profound and often unsettling quiet. When he enters a space, he doesn't inject himself into the noise. Instead, his focused observation acts like a powerful solvent, dissolving the frivolous chatter and forcing a collective recalibration. His silence isn't empty, it's a state of pure, undistracted presence, an intense focus that turns inward as much as it observes outward. People suddenly become aware of their own volume, their own nervous energy. The casual, thoughtless conversations dip, postures unconsciously straighten, and a palpable sense of awareness sharpens the air. This is not an intentional act of intimidation. It is the natural byproduct of a mind that is not scattered by the need for external validation, a mind that finds its equilibrium in stillness. The effect is a quiet pressure cooker of intensity that the Sigma himself never intended to ignite. This profound stillness becomes a mirror for those around him. In the face of his calm, people are forced into a sudden, involuntary self-audit. They feel microscopically seen, not by a judgmental critic, but by an observer who perceives the world with a clarity that is both rare and unnerving. Their own fidgeting, their need to fill every available space with sound, is thrown into stark relief. They begin to question the substance of their own words, the authenticity of their own social masks. The weight of his silence is terrifying because it forces them to confront the chaotic noise within themselves, a noise they might have been successfully ignoring until he arrived. His presence doesn't just command a room, it forces the room to question its own foundation, all without him uttering a single deliberate word of judgment. 2. The impenetrable emotional event horizon. While the world encourages a constant broadcast of feelings, a public performance of every inner storm, the Sigma male operates behind an impenetrable emotional event horizon. His face is a calm, unreadable surface, a tranquil sea beneath which powerful currents of thought and feeling move, fiercely private and intensely processed. This isn't an absence of emotion, but rather a profound mastery over it. Attempts to provoke a reaction, to hook him with emotional bait, simply slide off his impassive surface. Pleas for dramatic engagement or bids for shared hysteria meet a steady, neutral ground that refuses to be shaken. This level of control is not born of coldness, but of a deep, stoic understanding that emotional volatility is a weakness, a surrender of one's inner citadel to external forces. The terrifying effect of this impassivity is not that he is a void, but that he is a mirror. His unwavering stillness reflects the emotional chaos of others back at them with brutal clarity. In the face of his calm, their own over-the-top reactions appear theatrical, their anxieties seem overblown, and their anger looks performative and weak. His composure becomes an unspoken standard against which they are suddenly measured and found wanting. It forces an uncomfortable self-confrontation without him ever needing to articulate a critique. His emotional event horizon is terrifying because it exposes the uncomfortable truth that most people are puppets to their feelings, while he remains the quiet, unmoved master of his own internal universe. 3. The relentless filter of self-direction. Imagine navigating the world with an internal GPS so finely tuned that it ruthlessly filters out anything that does not align with your core mission. This is the natural state of the Sigma male. He operates on a set of internal values and a deep-seated purpose that acts as a relentless filter for the external world. Social niceties that serve no function, frivolous chatter designed to pass the time, and emotional demands that drain precious energy are not aggressively rejected, but are passively and unintentionally tuned out. This isn't born from arrogance or a desire to offend. It is a vital, unconscious mechanism for protecting his focus and preserving his mental and spiritual energy for what truly matters to his journey. He moves with an economy of attention that others simply cannot comprehend. The terrifying impact of this relentless filtering is that it can feel like a profound existential dismissal to those around him. When he disengages from a conversation that lacks substance or fails to participate in expected social rituals, it is never personal in his mind. Yet, to the person seeking his engagement, it lands with the force of a personal rejection. His lack of participation in the standard social dance makes others feel suddenly invisible, their contributions insignificant. It's a jarring experience that highlights their own reliance on these social structures for validation and makes them painfully aware of their own lack of such an unwavering internal sense of direction. He isn't trying to make them feel small. His focus is simply so large that it renders the small things imperceptible. 4. The unclaimed throne, invisible ascendancy. In the theater of social dynamics, most leaders grasp for power. They posture, they command, they assert their dominance through overt actions. The Sigma male, however, often has leadership laid at his feet, unasked for and unwelcomed. He becomes the quiet epicenter of a group without ever issuing a directive or engaging in a dominance display. People find themselves naturally deferring to him, unconsciously seeking his unspoken approval, or waiting for his rare but invariably decisive input. This quiet authority doesn't bloom from aggression, but from his unwavering consistency, his undeniable competence, and that potent, ever-present silence that suggests a mind deep at work while others are merely talking. The truly terrifying aspect of this invisible ascendancy is that it bypasses conscious resistance. People find themselves adjusting their own behavior to his rhythm, trusting his judgment, and following his lead before they even realize they are doing so. It's as if they are being pulled by an invisible tide, a gravitational force generated by his quiet competence and self-assurance. Their own attempts to seize control or influence the group suddenly seem loud, insecure, and ultimately futile in comparison. He reigns without ever claiming the crown, holding a power that is all the more formidable because it is granted, not taken. This leaves others in the unsettling position of following a leader who never asked for followers. 5. The Unshakable Equilibrium. When chaos erupts and pressure mounts, most people are swept away in the torrent. The Sigma male, however, remains an island of unnerving calm. While others are panicking, his voice stays level. While others are frantic, his movements remain deliberate. While others are overwhelmed, his mind remains clear, processing the situation from a detached, rational viewpoint. This isn't a forced, brittle stoicism. It is a deep-rooted resilience, an ingrained ability to process internally before reacting externally. In any crisis, he becomes the group's unconscious anchor, his serene mood setting an unbreakable ceiling that prevents widespread panic from taking hold. His stability is a silent, powerful force. The terrifying consequence of this equilibrium is that his stability acts as a blinding spotlight on everyone else's instability. His calm doesn't always feel reassuring. To some, it feels like a judgment. Their righteous anger suddenly looks hysterical next to his measured response. Their overwhelming stress appears weak and self-indulgent when contrasted with his unflappable core. Their panic feels amateurish and childish in the face of his quiet control. In his presence, people's lack of emotional discipline is painfully and publicly exposed. His calm is not an invitation to relax, but a devastating, unspoken critique of their inability to master themselves, making his presence both a source of security and a source of deep, personal shame for those who cannot match it. For the Sigma watching, and those who feel their presence, recognize this. That moment your calm unintentionally highlights another's chaos? That quiet confidence mistaken for judgment? You operate on a different frequency. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about understanding the seismic ripple your mere existence creates. For the observer feeling that pressure, it's not about you being inadequate. It's about encountering a force of nature built on inner resolve. The discomfort is the friction between their noise and your stillness. Now back to the terrifying truths. 6. The strategic verbal precision strike. In a world drowning in a sea of empty words, the Sigma male understands that true power lies in verbal economy. He waits, he listens, he absorbs. His silence isn't a void, it is a period of intense calculation, a charged anticipation. While others ramble on, desperate to fill the space, he is formulating a response that is lean, efficient, and devastatingly effective. When he finally does speak, it is not a blunt club but a surgeon's scalpel. His words are concise, direct, and purposeful, cutting through all the noise and fluff to land with pinpoint accuracy. There is no filler, no rambling anecdotes, no hollow platitudes, only pure, unadulterated value. The terrifying effect of this precision is that it renders all the verbosity that came before it instantly hollow and foolish. Every repeated point, every story told for the sake of hearing one's own voice is suddenly exposed for the waste of energy it is. His economy of speech creates a new, higher standard in the conversation, a vacuum where others feel immense pressure to match his impossible precision. This often leaves them stumbling over their words, over-explaining themselves in a panic, and becoming painfully aware of their own lack of substance. The silence before he speaks is the sound of a storm gathering, and his few, carefully chosen words are the lightning strike that illuminates the entire landscape. 7. The observation that feels like an autopsy. When a Sigma male enters a room, he doesn't just see people. He perceives the entire ecosystem. His gaze is not a casual glance, but a slow, methodical scan. He is not hunting for weakness, but rather mapping the terrain, reading the subtle currents of micro-expressions, absorbing the unspoken power dynamics, and sensing the hidden tensions that lie beneath the surface of polite interaction. This act of pure, non-judgmental observation carries a terrifying weight. It's an attentiveness so profound that it makes people feel as though they are being psychologically undressed, their carefully constructed facades turning to glass under his quiet scrutiny. This intense perception is not an act of aggression, yet it feels like an invasion. People become hyper-aware of their own performative behaviors, the forced laughter, the insincere compliments, the hidden anxieties they thought were well concealed. They begin to squirm, not because he has condemned them, but because his sheer, unwavering attentiveness makes them feel utterly transparent. It's as if their inner world, with all its insecurities and hidden agendas, has become an open book that he is silently, patiently reading. This feeling of being so completely seen, without judgment but with total clarity, is a profoundly unsettling experience that most people are not prepared for. 8. The unapologetic energy sovereignty. A Sigma male treats his energy and attention as his most valuable resources, and he guards them with a fierce, unapologetic sovereignty. He is not a public utility, available to all at any time. He engages deeply and powerfully when a person or a situation genuinely aligns with his values or captures his interest, but he disengages with equal and decisive intensity from that which is trivial, draining, or inauthentic. He doesn't perform availability or offer polite, empty engagement. This selective investment isn't a personal snub or an act of malice. It is the essential boundary maintenance required to protect his inner world and fuel his own mission. The terrifying result of this energy sovereignty is that to those who are accustomed to receiving validation on demand, his withdrawal feels like a sudden and brutal emotional exile. When he withdraws his focus because a conversation has become meaningless, it lands with the deafening impact of a steel door slamming shut. People feel abruptly cut off from his potent energy field, left shivering in a sudden cold that they don't understand. This unconscious demonstration of complete self-possession makes others feel needy, desperate, and powerless. It highlights their own dependence on external attention for their sense of worth and their utter inability to command his focus without offering something of genuine substance in return. 9. The discomfort of unfalsifiable calm. How do you wage war against a mountain? How do you emotionally rattle a man whose calm is not a tactic, but his very baseline of existence? The Sigma male's profound tranquility is not a shield he raises in times of conflict. It is the fortress in which he permanently resides. Provocations, attempts at emotional manipulation, and carefully manufactured drama simply dissolve against his impassive presence. He offers no friction, no satisfying reaction for the aggressor to latch onto. He does not engage in the fight and therefore he cannot be defeated in it. This creates a deeply terrifying and frustrating bind for those who try to destabilize him. Their attempts to elicit any strong response, be it anger, excitement, or even just a flicker of validation, fail so utterly that they are left flailing in a void of their own making. His calm becomes an impenetrable fortress that their emotional ammunition cannot breach. This forces the aggressor or the attention seeker to confront the absolute futility of their own actions. They are left alone with the unsettling reality that they simply cannot affect him, that their most potent emotional weapons are useless. His stillness is not a passive defense. It is weaponized by its sheer authenticity, defeating his opponents by giving them nothing to fight against. 10. The unconscious competence aura. Sigma males are often masters of their craft, possessing deep competence that has been honed over countless hours of solitary practice and study. When a situation arises that demands this expertise, it surfaces effortlessly, without any need for fanfare, chest thumping, or self-aggrandizement. He doesn't need to announce that he knows what he's doing. He simply knows, and he acts with a quiet, decisive efficiency that is breathtaking to witness. He solves the problem, provides the answer, or executes the task with a natural grace that makes the complex seem simple. The terrifying aspect of this unconscious competence is that it shines a harsh, unforgiving light on the posturing and faking it of those around him. His quiet, demonstrated capability makes others' loud boasts, their half-baked knowledge, and their hesitant, insecure efforts look painfully inadequate. His complete lack of any need to prove his skill only serves to amplify the deep-seated insecurity of those who constantly feel the need to broadcast their own supposed value. His competence isn't loud, but it resonates like a deep, powerful bell, making all the surrounding noise of ego and pretense sound tinny, hollow, and insubstantial in his silent, capable shadow. 11. The path untethered, radical independence manifest. Perhaps the most fundamentally terrifying thing a Sigma male does is move through the world visibly untethered from the universal human need for tribe validation. His choices, his direction, and his fundamental sense of self-worth are drawn from a deep internal wellspring, not from the fickle cistern of external applause or the paralyzing fear of social exclusion. He walks his own path, guided by his own principles, even if that path must be walked entirely alone. He is a living, breathing manifestation of radical self-sufficiency, a man who is his own source of approval and his own ultimate authority. This unconscious display of independence is terrifying because it confronts others with the stark, uncomfortable reality of their own dependencies. It holds up a mirror to their reliance on social approval, their need for group identity to feel whole, and their constant, low-level anxiety about being accepted. His quiet, solitary confidence is a constant, unspoken question that hangs in the air. Could you stand alone like this? Could you be content with only your own judgment of your worth? For most people who have built their entire lives on the foundation of social contracts and external validation, the honest answer reflected in their deep-seated discomfort is often a resounding, unsettling no. His very existence challenges the core of their social survival strategies, and that is the most terrifying thing of all. What we've explored today isn't a list of tactics to be learned, but a portrait of an identity to be understood. These 11 points are not flaws to be corrected but are the natural, unconscious signatures of a man who has done the hard, solitary work of forging his own soul. If you recognized yourself in these descriptions, know that your path is a valid one, and the unsettling effect you have on others is merely the friction created when a self-defined reality collides with a world that demands conformity. You are a force of nature. For those who are new here and feel a resonance with this philosophy, I invite you to become part of the Sigma male community. This channel is more than just videos. It is a modern-day Stoic forum for men committed to the path of growth, independence, and quiet excellence. If this message resonated with you, if it articulated something you have felt but could not name, then show your support. Like this video to signal its value. Share it with another man who is walking a similar path. And comment below with your own experiences. Your insights enrich this entire community. If you haven't already, subscribe and be sure to turn on all notifications, because our work here is far from over. This is your guidepost in a world of noise. Stay strong, stay silent, and continue to build your inner fortress. Until next time.